Hero is someone who's being admired by his courageous acts and nobility character. All throughout our lives, we have known many heroes, either fictional like Iron Man or in reality like Jose Rizal. But let's set aside those thoughts and talk about Ferdinand Marcos. Can Ferdinand Marcos be considered a hero, and does he deserve the right to have a hero's burial? Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos was the 10th president of the Philippines. He served the country from 1965 to 1986, was born on September 11, 1917 in a province of Ilocos Norte. He was married to Imelda Marcos, and together they had children which are Bongbong, Aimee, Irene, and Amy Marcos. He was also a member of the Philippine House of Representatives and the Senate before winning the presidential election. He was very well known to be a dictator and implementer of martial law during his second term. So, what led him to implement this decision of declaring martial law? On 1972, there were series of about 20 explosions which took place in the various locations in Metro Manila in the months after the Plaza Miranda bombing, which led to the decision of the late ex-President Ferdinand Marcos to impose the proclamation of martial law. Martial law was basically his way to suppress increasing civil strife and the threat of a communist takeover following a series of bombings in Manila. So what would happen if martial law was not imposed? If it weren't for martial law acting as the barrier for us not to be turned into a communist country, then there it is. We could have been a communist country by now, which would suck to be honest. If it weren't for such act declared by Ferdinand Marcos, we would have been like North Korea, governed by a communist party, a system where all property is public, people work and are just given things by the government according to their needs. But before having the title as President of the Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos was also one of those who were called into the army as a third lieutenant during the mobilization in the summer and fall of 1941. The U.S. Army confirmed that Ferdinand Marcos fought on the U.S. side after the December 1941 Japanese invasion of the Philippines until April 1942. So, practically, he was a soldier, and according to the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP, Regulation G 161-373 and RA number 289, Section 1, says that the following persons are entitled to interment at the libingan ng mga bayani are the Medal of Valor awardees, presidents or commanders-in-chief, AFP, and the secretaries of national defense. But before getting into that conclusion onto whether he deserves the entitlement to have a hero's burial, what had he done and accomplished that still left a remarkable aspect on our country today? Here are some lists that Marcos had established during his time that is still standing and still benefited by many people today.
During his time, the Philippines was the top 2 country in Asia in terms of economic growth during his term as a president. Marcos had indeed done a lot of projects and infrastructures, but not just that. Ferdinand Marcos had also established various programs aiming to help people's lives become better and easier, especially to those people who are in lower class ranks. For added knowledge, President Marcos had helped our farmers by creating programs such as the Masagana 99. It was an agricultural program of the late Philippine president. Ferdinand Marcos increases rice production among Filipino farmers. Speaking of agriculture, he had also introduced the Green Revolution. The Green Revolution aim was to promote Philippine rice self-sufficiency by raising the Philippine average polycrop yield from 40 kavans per hectare to 99 kavans per hectare. He had also introduced the Blue Revolution. The program helped local fishermen borrow money from the government for their needs and helped develop fishery techniques for them to have better production. The Bakahang Barangay Program. This program supported fattening 40,000 head of cattle where the local farmers can receive a pair of cattle from the government in rural areas. The expanded Yellow Corn Program. This program helps support local farmers with their crops. The Kilusang Kabuhayan at Kaunlaran supported 25 entrepreneurial projects which aim to establish viable productive enterprises in communities through self-help and self-reliance. And who can forget the famous 13-month pay? 13-month pay under Constitution Presidential Decree number 851, Section 1 state that the 13th month pay shall not be less than 1/12 of the total basic salary earned by employee within a calendar year. All of these mentioned programs by the late President are a part of his plan to assist Philippine workers in terms of financial for them to be able to attain their needs for everyday living.
Under Marcos regime, Filipinos also saw the establishment of unprecedented edifices and infrastructures, the majority of which still stand proudly today, servicing the needs of the Filipino people. It was in Marcos' time when the Cultural Center of the Philippines, Sentrong Pagkultura ng Pilipinas or CPP, established through Executive Order No. 30, year 1966 by President Ferdinand Marcos. The CCP provides performance and exhibition venues for various local and international productions and its 62-hectare complex. The North Luzon Expressway, NLEX, was built to develop areas adjacent to Metro Manila with NLEX servicing the north. The South Luzon Expressway, SLEX, is a limited access toll expressway that connects Metro Manila to the provinces. The Philippine State College of Aeronautics, PhilSCA, or Kolehiyong Pampamahalaan ng Aeronautika ng Pilipinas, is a state college in the Philippines specializing in aeronautics and aviation and only institution in the Philippines that offers master's and doctoral programs in aeronautical education and management. Nayong Pilipino was established in 1970 to showcase Filipino culture through miniature renditions of tourist sites such as Mayon Volcano, Banawa Rice Terraces, and Chocolate Hills. Mactan-Mandawi Bridge is the first of two bridges connecting the islands of Cebu and Mactan. San Juanico Bridge, the longest bridge in the Philippines, which stretches from Samar to Leyte. Folk Arts Theater was originally built to seat an audience of 10,000 and was commissioned by then First Lady Imelda Marcos in 1974 for the Miss Universe. People's Park in the Sky, built in 1981 during the Marcos regime. It was to serve as a guest house for then U.S. President Ronald Reagan, who was set to visit the Philippines. Philippines Arts Center in Quezon City was established through Presidential Decree No. 637 issued by President Ferdinand E. Marcos in 1975. It aimed to help people with cardiovascular problems.
But the list doesn't end there. We can indeed say that Marcos had really made use of his time as a president of the Philippines. In addition to these mentioned infrastructures, Marcos had also built the Philippines International Convention Center in 1976. The significant purpose of the PICC is to let people and nations meet and exchange ideas, hold various events such as private parties, political conferences, exhibitions, and concerts in appropriate settings. Makiling Center for the Arts is a sanctuary built for young and aspiring Filipino artists to show their skills and talents that are inclined to arts. The Golden Mosque was built to help broker peace with the Muslims in Mindanao. Bataan Nuclear Power Plant was built in 1976 to generate electricity on parts of Luzon that need an electric to decrease the electricity bills. Coconut Palace was built by Imelda Marcos in 1978 as a guest house for Pope John Paul II for his papal visit in the Philippines in 1981. It was also considered as a vernacular architecture because of its materials which were made out of coconut parts and other indigenous hardwoods and marble from the Philippines. The long center of the Philippines was established through Presidential Decree No. 1823 to provide the Filipino people state-of-the-art specialized care for the lungs and other chest diseases. National Kidney and Transplant Institute was built primarily for the benefit of the Filipino people afflicted with kidney and allied diseases and to secure the well-being of the people by providing them with a specialized health and medical services. Magat Hydroelectric Power Plant is a multi-purpose dam which is used primarily for irrigating about 85,000 hectares for agricultural plants, flood control, and power generation through the Magat Hydroelectric Power Plant. Manila Light Rail Transit System Line 1 1989 was constructed for people who want to have immediate access in works rather than commute in a vehicle.
A lot of Marcos infrastructures still stands today and until now. These infrastructures continue to help our economy in their own aspect.
So we can really say that Marcos' time made many unimaginable contributions to Philippine society. That is the mark of true brilliance, smart, and greatness.
There's no denying the fact that he had indeed done a lot for our country. His programs, infrastructures, still there, serving us and helping us. He had done many things that not even past presidents can top. So, getting back to the main question, did Ferdinand Marcos really deserve to have a hero's burial? He may not be a hero for some, but the man did indubitably deserve the right to be in the libingan ng mga bayani. And the Constitution agrees with that. No matter how many opinions may point out, no man can go against the Constitution, ever, no matter who you are or where you came from. He was a soldier and a president, and was elected twice actually, so he was more than qualified to have a spot at the libingan ng mga bayani. Not to mention his great contributions to the Philippine society and to us Filipinos. He may not be the perfect president that we all dreamt about. He may have shortcomings, but he tried his best to make our country better. Unlike others, sorry not sorry. So, yes, he did deserve the right to have a hero's burial.
Yes, the burial is really symbolic. They put a lot of the importance on the event itself, thus as if we are washing away the sins of the past dictatorship. If you look at the libingan ng mga bayani, with all due respect, there are few ones who do not deserve to be there. And even President Rodrigo on the 30th said he had given the go signal for Marcos' heroes burial, fulfilling his campaign promise of putting an end to the issue that had divided the country.
Yes, he indeed deserved a hero's burial. He was a soldier who almost died in the Bataan Death March during the Second World War and was twice elected president of the country. Also, God forgives sinners. Some of the accusations made against him have not been proven. There are so many ambiguities and theories going around that it should be left alone. People should move on. Too many of us won't and can't accept it because of everything that has happened in the martial law years. But remember that it was not all of the Filipinos that wanted him to be removed from power. Let us not forget the good things that he contributed to our country that we're still benefiting until today. Give credit where credit is due.
The burial at the LMMD has been long overdue. He fought as a guerrilla in the Second World War, proud and patriotic as a Filipino. He lived his life serving the nation. I agree with Duterte allowing him to be buried in the graves of heroes. We need to move forward, heal the wound, and learn from the ugly past. Yes, he deserved to be buried in the graves of heroes because of the many things he had helped and done many things for the Philippines, and he had never let us down.
So why is this important to know? As citizens of the Philippines, we must not let our emotions take over from what is just. Again, law is law. We cannot distort that even if we think obeying so would be absurd. So that's it for video today. Until next time, bye!
Marcos.